Hello, hello, and welcome to the Math Connection. My name is Miss Lenz, and we are wrapping up our studies on quadratic functions. The next several videos will be putting everything that we've learned together. So if you haven't had a chance to watch all of the videos, there is a link to the playlist right here. Please watch them. In this one, we're going to kind of combine everything. In the next several, we're going to kind of combine everything. So what are we doing today? Well, we are going to be given an equation, and we are going to find everything out that we know about this quadratic function. We're going to find its x and y intercepts. We're going to find its maximum or minimum value. We're going to find its axis of symmetry. We're going to find its vertex. We're going to graph it. We're going to find all the things about this function. So the first one that we're going to do in this video, this will be all based around one function, and I'm going to give you that function in standard form. So that's what this one will be about. If you want to watch the subsequent videos, I'm going to give them to you in a different form. This one's standard. I'll give you one of them in factored form, and you'll have to find all the things, and I'll give one of them in vertex forms, and you'll have to find all the things. So the first one I'm going to give you is going to be in standard form. So here is going to be the first one. We have f of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 8, and we want to find everything that we have talked about so far. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to think, what form is this, and what does this form tell me? So one thing that I know is that this is in standard form. There's no parentheses in here anywhere. We have our x squared term, we have our x term, we have our constant term, no parentheses. This is standard form. So then I'm thinking, well, what does standard form help me with? If you filled out that table from the previous video, standard form helps us to find our y-intercept really quickly and really easily. What tells me my y-intercept when it is in standard form is going to be this last number right here. That last number tells me what my y-intercept is. So my y-intercept is -8. So actually, I'm going to write that as, well, I'll write this, the y-intercept, and I'm going to write it as a point. That would be the point 0, -8. When x is 0, I'm going to get a -8 for y, and that is going to be a point on the y-axis where this curve crosses the y-axis. If I wanted to put that on a coordinate plane, which we are going to do, so I'm going to kind of do bits and pieces of it along the way, but that is going to be one of our goals, is to put this on a coordinate plane. So I'm going to steal a coordinate plane here, and let's kind of graph this on our way through this. So what I just found is the y-intercept. So I've only found one point that this curve goes through, and it's the point 0, -8. I am going to put a point at 0, -8. I know that my curve has to go through that point right there, down 8 on the y-axis. Standard form doesn't really help us with anything else. So that's all we're going to find using standard form. But I can find some more things. Let's go to factored form. If I can change this into factored form, then I can find the x-intercepts. I found the y-intercept already. I want to find the x-intercepts, which means where does this cross the x-axis? So I want to change this into factored form. So to change this into factored form, we're simply going to factor it, which means I want to write it with those parentheses in it. I want to write it like this. What two parentheses would I be able to FOIL to give me this back? Well, the first times the first has to give me x squared, so x and x have to go here. Now I'm looking for two numbers that will multiply to this -8 and add to a +2 in the middle. Multiplies to a -8, adds to a +2, a +4 and a -2. A +4 times a -2 will give me -8. And if I add those two together, if I do my OI check, I will get a +2 in the middle. So here's factored form. And factored form helps us to find our x-intercepts. So remember, when we have it in factored form, we want to think, what would I have to put in for x into each of these parentheses to equal a 0? Or what number +4 is going to equal 0? Some of you can just think of this in your head. What +4 equals 0? Well, -4 + 4 equals 0. That is the answer. If you can't do that, then just simply solve this equation for x. So I'm going to do that. Subtracting 4 on both sides. We get, this cancels, we get x equals -4. What does this tell me? This tells me one of my x-intercepts. This curve is going to cross the x-axis at a -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it has to go through that point right there. I need to find the other x-intercept. I do that by doing the same exact thing, but with the other factor. X minus 2. When is x minus 2 equal to 0? I'm going to add 2 to both sides. These will cancel. X equals 2. What did I find? I found the other x-intercept. So I'm going to plot that point too. Right here is going to be my other x-intercept. Okay? And this is all that factored form tells us. So far, we have gotten our y-intercept and we've gotten our 2 x-intercepts. And the rest of this, we want to get using vertex form. In my opinion, the most helpful form, the one that tells us the most. So let's write this in vertex form. So there is a method that we use to write this in vertex form. It's called completing the square. So that is what we are going to do. I'm just going to copy my equation down. So remember, when we complete the square, we group our first 2 terms together, but we leave that little space there. And then we keep that -8 outside of it. And I now need to add that magical number that is half of the middle term squared. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1 also. So I'm going to add 1. I'm going to put this in blue. I'm adding 1 here. But I just unbalanced my equation and I need to do something to keep it balanced. So if I added 1 inside of the parentheses, I need to balance that by subtracting 1. That +1 and -1, when I put them together, is like adding 0. So that makes, this is a kind of a different way of balancing your equation. So my next step is to just rewrite this in vertex form. I've added and I've balanced, and now I need to just rewrite it. So we have f of x equals, now this parentheses here, I wrote it as that is a perfect square. So something squared would give me that if I FOIL it back out. And remember how to do that. The x always goes first, and then it's going to be half of this middle term. Half of 2x is just going to be, or I guess it's just the 2, is going to be a +1. X plus 1, if I FOIL that out, it would give me that parentheses that's right above it. And then I want to combine these 2 like terms right here. So this is vertex form, and this is the most helpful form. So let's finish our graphing using this vertex form, and then we're also going to find the maximum and minimum and the axis of symmetry. So let's use this vertex form to find the vertex. So the vertex is given to us by these numbers right here. This parabola is going to be moved to the left 1 and down 9. Left 1, down 9. I'm going to put that on my graph, and oopsies, that was only down 8. Here's down 9. So this makes complete sense right now, because if I think about it, what do I know about this parabola? Or no, what do I know about this quadratic function? Number 1, it's going to be a parabola. That squared, any of the squareds that were in here are telling me this is going to be a parabola when I graph it, which means it's going to have that U shape, or it's going to have the hill shape, and a valley or a hill. And I know what it is just by looking at the equation. Since there's no sign right here, it's a positive, and that means it's going to be a valley. And that makes total sense with what I have on the graph. The vertex is the lowest point, the blue dot that's right there. And so if it goes through this black dot, it comes down, it's going to go through the blue dot, and then it's going to come right back up. There is my graph. I could also have put another point on there using symmetry. So let's talk about that axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry goes right through the vertex, and it's going to be a vertical line. So I'm going to draw a vertical line, a vertical dotted line through that point, the vertex. And if I fold this up, like if this was a piece of paper and I fold it on that line, it's going to match up perfectly on both sides. So that means that if this is a point on that, then there's going to be another one just on the completely opposite side, but the same distance away from the vertex. So I could have added another point. And now we can look and we can see that it has perfect symmetry. All of those points would match up if I were to fold them. So here is my graph. Okay, we're done graphing it. But let's write what our axis of symmetry is. Our axis of symmetry is that vertical line that went through the vertex. So to write the equation of a vertical line, I'm going to put AOS, axis of symmetry. To write the equation of that, it's going to be x equals, that's the equation for a vertical line. x equals, and since this is to the left 1, it's going to be x equals -1. That's the equation for a vertical line that is 1 to the left on the x-axis, okay? So that is the line that I could fold this piece of paper over and it would match up perfectly on both sides. That's the axis of symmetry. We already said our vertex is the point -1, -9. The last thing we haven't found yet is maximum or minimum. So first we have to decide, is this going to have a maximum value or is this going to have a minimum value? And to do that, we're just going to think of, is this a hill or is this a valley? A valley has like a very lowest point. That's going to have a minimum. A hill has a very highest point. That's going to have a maximum. This is a valley. We've already graphed it and we can see that. Another way of doing that though is by looking at the sign in front of that parentheses. Since it's a positive, that makes it a valley, and that means that it's going to have a minimum. So we're going to have a minimum value. And the minimum value is really easy to find when it is in vertex form. The minimum value is like the lowest number that will come out of this function or out of this machine. The lowest number that will come out, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can look at the vertex. Here's the vertex, and what number is going into the vertex there? Well, I'm putting in a -1 and a -9 is coming out because -1 is the x value here and -9 is the y value. So we're looking for the y value of the vertex. So -9 is going to be my minimum value. That's the lowest number that will come out of this machine. No matter what I put in, it's going to be something is higher than -9 is going to come out, or equal to -9, but nothing lower than -9. That's the lowest. Another way of doing that, if it's in vertex form, is just by looking at this last number right here. That tells us what our minimum, or vice versa, or our maximum if this were to be a hill. But this one is a minimum. So our minimum value is a -9. So this was when I gave it to you in standard form. If you want to see another one pretty similar to that, except for I'm going to give it to you in a different form, go ahead and check out this video right here. And I hope to see you soon. Please hit that subscribe button.